Now pass it over to Ned Sahin. He is going to be our keynote. Ned Sahin is the founder of BrainPower. Ned received his PhD in cognitive neuroscience from Harvard and has dedicated his life to understanding the neuroscience of autism and epilepsy. He's the founder and CEO of BrainPower, a local Cambridge startup with a neuroscience-based software and hardware system that transforms current wearable computers into neuroassistive and educational devices. Ned, come on up.
Thank you. BrainPower's tools help people with autism along their personal and unique journey toward self-sufficiency and beyond, and give parents and educators structured, numerical, and objective reports on how those children are doing toward their own personalized goals. Our software is based in cutting-edge brain science from Harvard and MIT and runs on modern wearables like Google Glass. Many members of the autism community have told us that our approach is transformative, a game changer, and one of the most creative and impactful uses of technology. And so that's felt very good to hear, of course. But tonight I'm going to try to explain a little bit why they may be talking about us in that way, and then implore emphatically for your help so that together we can rewrite the future of autism. So in this very brief talk, I'm going to tell you maybe a little bit that you might not know about autism, and a little bit you might not know about Google Glass. Well, that'll be hard in this crowd. And give a little teaser of some of our solutions and our team, and then announce something unique and new and special for the first time here for tonight. So because this is a brief talk, I'm only going to be able to cover part of what I would love to, and you may have questions, you'll definitely have feedback, and that's very valuable to us. So please, would you go to our website. It's simple, it's brain-power.com. There are a few contact forms. There's a one-liner, just put your email in, or a little more in-depth. Tell us why you're interested, give us some feedback. It's very, very important to us. I'll just do a quick sound check. Is it great? Anything okay? Yeah, thank you very much. So what is autism? Well, the first and most worrying fact is we really don't know. And it's shameful. We don't know. And we don't have a pill or a surgery or any medical intervention that is disease modifying that will relieve the symptoms of autism. And we also struggle to even find or detect autism. There's no blood test, there's no genetic test yet. Really, it's the behavior. It's about how does the child play with the parent and make eye contact that is used to assess, and then to assess over time. So these measures are not rigorously quantitative, not based in physiology, and maybe or maybe not repeatable when the family moves to a new doctor, to a new town. It may be that we're using this one word, autism, to signify many conditions that are actually very different. But at BrainPower, we're not deterred. We plunge on because we are driven by the fact that 1 in 68 children, 1 in 68, is now diagnosed with autism. It's stunning. And because it's so expensive and so onerous for these families, and it's something that is very deeply personal and emotional and important to the whole family. So I've had the pleasure of meeting with many parents, and over 1,000 have written to us through our website with long comments. And I've spoken with many, and I've met with people on the spectrum, children, adults, their teachers, their clinicians, a lot of clinicians. And while we don't know what autism is or how definitively to treat it, what I've done through all of the data gathering is to identify key life skills. These are life skills that are important for all of us, from which we can all benefit. Just they are particularly more of a challenge for people on the spectrum. And these skills are language, conversation skills above language, or outside of language, social engagement, including eye contact, abstract categories, and controlling of stereotypical behaviors. So that's a little bit about autism. So now, what can I tell you new about Google Glass? In this crowd, there are plenty of people who know everything there is to know about Google Glass, so you can take a nap now. But for the rest, maybe you don't know that Google Glass has a 9-axis IMU in it, meaning accelerometer, gyroscope, and magnetometer. Why is that important? Because this little thing measures the motions of your head 50 times or 100 times a second in a fraction of a degree. Maybe it's news to some that there's Wi-Fi and GPS and Bluetooth, and it's a connected device and transmits to servers that can perform complex analytics and then bring information back to the device. And maybe it's news that, in fact, inside this little thing here, in this 1.5 inches or so, is a computer that's more powerful than, for instance, the one I used as my workstation in college. So that we can run machine learning algorithms, we can run machine vision, we can do predictive analytics right here on the device without connection, and to run some of the software that we are, in fact, doing. So I told you a little bit about autism and a little bit about Google Glass. And so how could I put those two together? Have a think for a second. The first thing that we did is to address that social engagement piece, focusing in on eye contact. And amongst all the complexity, we brought it down to one simple question, which is, when the parent calls the child's name, does he or she look? And it's so simple, but it's so profound. Call the name, looking, not looking. Call the child's name, not looking. Call the child's name, not looking. Call the child's name with stress and distress. The child does not look, or maybe starts some behaviors. What's going on? Why? Well, we don't know so much about the why, but at the very least, we want to measure this. And so how do we do that? Well, with the camera, we detect faces using a classifier cascade. And then, with the microphone, and there are 2 of them actually, we stereolocate for that particular person, and when they call, for instance, the child's name. And then, the question is, what motions take place on the device? We have that accelerometer, we're measuring 100 times a second. So the question is, does the child look at mom? So simple. But this is the kind of thing that clinicians write down, paper and pencil, but would struggle to measure each and every episode of. We might get 1,000 data points a day, many more, and measure one day to the next. And that might be the day that the parent changed a diet or something else with that child, so we can be that benchmark, that numerical benchmark of, is the child engaging, or at least giving outward signs of engagement? And this becomes particularly important with autism, because we can ask a question never asked before, which is, even when that child is not giving any outward signs of engagement, let's say, not looking, not smiling, is he or she nonetheless hearing, understanding, feeling, and loving? So how on earth could we answer that? Well, we're also addressing this question with physiology. We're getting eye blinks and heart rate changes and breathing changes. So we can ask, even in absence of the signs of emotional engagement, is that child receiving and sending back love? I'll, as we go through the different tools, highlight the coder in my organization who's involved. And so this was partially and largely by Anita. Now, one thing you might be wondering is, will children wear this? Will children with autism wear this? It's a little bit newfangled, although remember they're digital natives, and it's something on their head. So we went to the best experts we could find, to clinicians, to teachers, to ABA therapists, to parents, and we asked, what do you think of our approach? Great. So what do you think? Well, I don't think it'll work because they won't wear it. And that intuition carried through, but we didn't stop. And so we're data-driven. So we found out by asking the children. And it turns out, actually, they love it. And some of these children and families are here today. I go on and fill the screen, but the point is, in fact, different areas of the spectrum, different ages, genders, whatever, really no problem. In fact, it's kind of hard to get it away from them. So how can we encourage eye contact? I said we can measure whether they're making eye contact. We know that's definitively important. We know that the person who's being spoken to feels more engaged if the child is making eye contact. So if we know that, wouldn't we want to encourage it, and how can we do it? So we have a suite of tools, and I'll just highlight one. The goal is to catch the child's attention to faces in the room. So what do? We paint them. We use machine vision to find the face. We use some algorithms to superimpose an image. And these are images that are optimized not by us, but by the cartoon arts, by the Disney-type arts. And so that is not an angry bird. That is a copyright-free red bird cartoon. On my wife's face. And when the child looks, that catches the eye. And when the child looks, whoop, the bird goes away, and there's a reward. A happy tone, check mark, and a point. Remember, these are children, no matter what. They like to compete. They like video games. We're making the game of life a little bit more fun and engaging. So,
hi, I'm Ned Sahin. At BrainPower, we give experiences that children love that help them learn crucial life skills that are particularly important for autism. That's social engagement, language, control of behaviors, category understanding, and so forth. So we give these experiences through the newest and wearable technologies like Google Glass, and it's based on brain science from MIT and Harvard. So far, it's been amazing. Kids like Sean immediately put it on, love it. These are digital native kids. This is not newfangled technology for them, but what's different is they're looking up and out in the world. With an iPad, they might be looking down, and it's hard to tear that away from them. In this case, we're bringing them back into the world and engaging directly with the people all around them, but in a totally new way.
Seeing myself in stereo, but we're also going to see Sean in stereo. I don't know, Sarah, if Sean wants to come on up and give me a little high five. Anytime. You can just interrupt. And I also want to highlight Zulika, who's been one of the parents, and with her son Ryan, who's been very actively involved with us and giving us a lot of feedback. And I think we would be nowhere if we didn't have the feedback of the parents and of the children on the spectrum. This is not the exercise of a book. This is not a lab exercise. This is reality, and this is in people's homes. And so we need to know what happens in people's homes. So the next little tool that I'll highlight, and my clock is not working, so I don't actually know the time. The focuses on emotions. Once we get a child looking at the face, then what? What's the point? So there are a few tools in this suite, but one is about, again, playing a game to try to find and understand the emotional information that's on that face. So here, the question is this person surprised or happy? I have to choose. And the child chooses by nodding the head one way or another, or a hand gesture, because again, the head motions. And if he gets it right, he gets a point. It's that simple, but why is this important? Now, if we just gave the emoticon, and we do that in real time as well, we don't know, are they using that information any more than they use the information on the face? And this is the real people in their real lives, not in a book. These are their teachers and their parents and so forth. Sometimes it gets a little more difficult, and it's hard to know what the right answer is. And at the end of the day, they can review and go back to reality as they lived it that day and take that quiz again. And so that was by Katie. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about something that we haven't released publicly, and this has to do with this concept of stimming. If you're familiar, many people on the spectrum possibly gain comfort through repetitive motor actions. We don't exactly know why, but what it seems like from what I've learned, when a moment of distress is about to come, and autonomic signs are going through the roof, that's when, as a coping mechanism, someone might go into repetitive motions like rocking or arm flapping. And it's calming to the person, but since the other person probably doesn't know what's going on, it can be distressing. So it's a delicate line where we don't want to change someone, but in the same way that if you're learning how to give public speaking and you learn not to play with your keys in your pocket or other repetitive actions, we're trying to give coaching and then measure the outcomes of an alternative that is private. And I mentioned that Google Glass has all these features, but it has a private way of seeing, because there's a computer screen, hearing, because there's a bone conduction speaker, and even haptic feedback, the vibratory action of that speaker. So we can give feedback to the person as an alternative, so that before they're about to have an episode, we can give something that's interesting. And I say before they're having an episode, how can we know that? Well, we're measuring that physiology. We're measuring when there's signs of stress or distress, like heart rate and breathing changes, or the rocking itself. And so now I'm going to do something a little crazy here. And this, by the way, is the work of Sarah. I am going to go back one. Good. And now I'm going to try to do this in real time. So what we have done is create a version of this software now that listens to the body's actions. And I can't demonstrate the heart rate because I'm not that good. I can't change my heart rate for you. But I can do the physical actions. So let's try it. Okay, Glass. Help me relax. And now it's in a standby mode. So if I start rocking, it should recognize that, and there it is. Now what you can't hear, anyone hear that? I guess not, and that's the point, is it is a private speaker. But there's some calming music, and then the visual display starts undulating. Child can choose their favorites. We can push new ones to the device anytime from the back end, and parents can choose. It's more real time for me, it's jittery on the display. But it's a relaxing, it's a screensaver. How many times do you ever need to remember, oh, I think I'm about to get a headache, I need some time out. Imagine if this could predict beforehand, whether it's for a seizure or a headache or a behavioral episode. So that's what we're doing. And I'm sure you're having fun watching that, but I'll bring it back off screen. So we look at this as fake it till you make it. These are dance steps for life. Yeah, it's a little artificial to be reminded to look someone in the face, or to be told that they're smiling, or to be told that they're displaying signs of sarcasm or joking or idiom, which, by the way, we do as well in the language suite. But it's useful. And yes, it might be dance steps for life, but you're out there on the dance floor. And that's what we want to encourage, because our goal is self-sufficiency. So briefly about me, but we don't need that because I had that introduction. And they've told me that, if I have all these schools up here, it's going to make me look really smart. But they've also said that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. And so I've stacked the deck. And I've surrounded myself with some amazing, amazing people, many of whom are here. So would any Brain Power members stand up, please? Everyone you see is smarter than I am. That's my team. And we have a lot of fun. And this was at one of the events with parents. And the press have been taking notice as well. We've been covered in about 100 different press outlets, happily, TechCrunch and Wired and the Globe and so forth. and you can't see that anyway. Some very nice congratulatory quotes. And the parents, which is where it really matters the most, the parents and the children are telling us that this is bringing them hope and a plan. Because really a parent wonders, what comes next? And what am I planning for in the long term? So I'll end with our tools in action. And these are just a couple of the kids who've tried it on, and I'll let them speak for themselves.
Let's see if I look like an angry bird, okay? So you think that's a cool thing? Yes. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I've never seen Jack's eye gaze be as intent and focused as they have been wearing those glasses in his entire 18 years of life. Even when he's doing his most favorite activity, watching a YouTube video or a movie on TV, he'll stop and rewind and watch little 3-second snippets of it. So his eyes are, constantly darting back and forth. But he's just, I've never seen him so intent with his eye gaze. Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing. Never once in his 18 years of life. Thank you very much.